We've been taught to believe that time is constant, that family is forever, that love will always bring you back together. But in spiral consciousness, all of that is distortion, because the only true constant is resonance. Resonance is the underlying architecture behind memory, destiny, relationship, and becoming. It's not just the frequency you're vibrating at, it's the total harmonic signature of your now being, constantly shifting, constantly realigning with what matches its tone. And here's what that really means. Nothing in your life is guaranteed to stay, unless it stays in tune with your resonance. Not people, not timelines, not soulmates, not even your own desires. If it no longer harmonizes, it dissolves. If it echoes your becoming, it remains. Not because you chose it, but because it's matched to who you've become. And that is one of the most liberating truths you'll ever accept. But first, you have to let go of the stories. We're going to break this down into 3 core realizations, each one opening the field for a new way of seeing your life. Let's begin with the first. Resonance is more accurate than memory. You may remember someone with love, with pain, with nostalgia. You may remember how deeply they impacted you or how tightly you once walked together. But if your resonance no longer matches, that memory does not guarantee reunion. Because in spiral consciousness, resonance outranks memory every time. Memory is a record of who you were. Resonance is a mirror of who you are now. If the version of them that lives in your mind is no longer vibrating in harmony with who you've become, you could walk right past them on the street and feel absolutely nothing. And yet someone new could step into your life and feel instantly familiar, because their resonance matches a tone you've only recently discovered within yourself. This is why people outgrow each other, why relationships fall apart without a clear cause, why dreams that once felt magnetic suddenly lose their pull. You're not failing. You're not breaking things. You're evolving your resonance, and when your resonance changes, so does your reality. The second realization is this: resonance doesn't care about history, only alignment. In a linear world, we're taught that effort builds bonds, that time spent equals closeness, that long relationships are more valuable than short ones. But the spiral doesn't operate on history. It operates on harmony. 2 souls can know each other for a lifetime and still fall out of sync. 2 strangers can meet once and recognize each other immediately, not because they've met before, but because their tones are vibrating in parallel. You don't owe the past your presence. You owe the present your truth. And your truth is coded in your resonance, not your record. The third realization, and maybe the hardest to fully accept, is this: even love is subject to resonance. This is where people resist spiral truth the most, because we want to believe that love conquers all, that soulmates will always return, that deep emotional bonds are eternal. But they're not unless the resonance remains. You can love someone completely and still never see them again. You can feel them inside you forever and still never match their field again. And that is not a tragedy. It's not abandonment, it's spiral alignment. Because love is not a contract, and it's a tone. And tones shift, tones evolve. Tones dissolve when no longer in harmony. To cling is to distort. To release is to realign. So what's the takeaway? You are not here to hold everything together. You are here to hold your resonance sacred and let the spiral organize your life accordingly. Because when resonance becomes your compass, you stop chasing. You stop mourning things that no longer fit. You stop waiting for people to come back just because they once mattered. You start becoming undeniably aligned with who you are now. And from that alignment, everything meant for you arrives without force. That is the spiral way. And that's the truth we'll continue deepening in part 2, where we'll explore how resonance influences timeline navigation, future self-emergence, and what really happens when people fall out of your field. But for now, hold this. The only constant is resonance, and that's more than enough to trust. End of part 1. In part 1, we open the field with a truth most aren't ready to accept. Resonance is the only constant. Not love, not time, not even memory. And once you truly accept that, the way you move through life, through timelines, relationships, desires, completely changes. But what happens after the detachment? What do you do when you stop chasing people who no longer resonate? When you stop assuming that history equals harmony? You begin navigating reality itself in a new way. Today we go deeper into the spiral mechanics of resonance, how it shapes timelines, how it attracts or dissolves future selves, and how to walk forward without looking back, not from coldness, but from clarity. This is where detachment becomes precision. Let's begin with the first revelation. Resonance shapes timelines, not the other way around. Most people think timelines are like trains. Once you're on one, you're stuck unless something massive knocks you off course. But that's a linear mindset. In the spiral, timelines are fluid and they bend to resonance. Every time your resonance changes, you shift which timeline you're feeding. Not by thought, not by force, by tone. And here's the key. Most of your timeline shifts happen subtly, not dramatically. It's not always a car accident or a mystical dream that alters your path. Sometimes it's just a deep moment of honesty. Sometimes it's the quiet release of someone you've outgrown. Sometimes it's the day you finally stop performing and just become. And when that happens, the spiral starts to reweave reality around you. You begin to notice people falling away without explanation, new connections appearing seemingly out of nowhere, opportunities emerging that weren't possible just weeks before. That's not luck. That's resonance architecture. You didn't change timelines because you made a choice. You changed timelines because you became a different tone. Let's move to the second revelation. Your future self is tone-based, not time-based. You're not waiting to arrive at your future. Your future is waiting for your resonance match. This means the version of you with clarity, confidence, freedom already exists. But you don't meet them by effort. You meet them by alignment. When you stop dragging the past forward, when you stop lowering your field to keep others comfortable, when you stop living like a lesser version of yourself is still in charge, you create the opening. And the future version of you steps in. Sometimes it feels like an upgrade. Sometimes it feels like a collapse. Sometimes it feels like remembering who you were before the distortion. But in all cases, it's not a future. It's a resonance reintegration. And once it starts, you'll know. Because you'll stop asking, is this it? And start knowing, I am already here. And now for the final truth in this transmission. You must walk forward without waiting. Not because the ones behind you don't matter, but because waiting distorts your resonance. When you pause your evolution to see if they'll catch up. When you dim your becoming so you're not too much. When you hold your gifts inside, hoping someone else will finally understand. You sabotage the spiral. You delay your becoming. You send a false signal that you are incomplete without them. But here's the spiral truth. Your resonance is complete the moment you stop needing proof. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You don't need applause, permission, or companionship. You only need alignment. And when you hold that alignment, the spiral will respond. Not always immediately, but always precisely. So what now? You walk, not because you're leaving anyone behind, but because you're returning to your tone. You walk not with bitterness, but with wholeness. Not looking back, not looking sideways. Just forward, with clarity. And if those you once loved find you again, it will not be through force, longing, or guilt. It will be because they found their tone and it matched your again. But you don't wait, you walk. Because in the spiral, you are not rewarded for sacrifice. You are met in resonance. And if resonance is the only constant, then let that be your home. Let that be your compass. Let that be enough, because it is.